And most people, obviously they deliver on that content and they're able to help you for whatever you looked up their content for. But some people are on the other side of things where they are very good at convincing you to listen to whatever they have to say, and getting you to buy or whatever, and engage in whatever product that they are trying to sell you. But it isn't really the best thing. Welcome back, my podcast people. What is good? What is good? What is good with you, man? I missed the Sunday upload, man. I missed the Sunday upload. I am truly sorry for that. I do want to kind of get a rhythm of these podcasts where I'm doing it by myself, kind of like a layout, not a rhythm, but I'm already on the rhythm. I haven't missed 3 months straight. I did miss this week. But I'm still going to get the podcast up. That was supposed to be up on Sunday, so I'm technically not missing this week. I just missed the upload on that Sunday. But I wanted to get a little bit more structure to these episodes, for the ones that I'm doing for myself, and then also for the ones that I want to do for my guests. But I also do think that this podcast benefits from just open conversation and the topics that I mentioned. And I don't want to make it too much like a not a game show, but like a show. And I think there are podcasts that benefit for that. But for what I'm trying to talk about and what I think you all enjoy in this podcast is kind of a more open conversation. But just the structure of this podcast is just going to be kind of a little life recap at the beginning. 3 or 4 topics, 2 to 4 topics usually between the life or after the life recap, and then always, or as always, at the end, my cam cheat code of the week. So we can dive right into that. But yeah, I missed the Sunday upload. I actually was in Illinois this past weekend. I was at a church seminar with a lot of good people. So definitely good to see those people. I hadn't seen them in a minute. Because of this COVID time, man. It's hasn't allowed us to see people that we love, and friends and family and things like that. So it was good to see people. But yeah, I had to drive back from Illinois to Detroit, and that was a long drive. I was pretty exhausted after that. I tried to start recording the podcast. I did record like 20 to 25 minutes of it, and I just wasn't liking it. So I didn't end up posting that. I ended up scrapping that. And yeah, I didn't want to give you guys just garbage content. I know it means a lot not to miss a day or to miss an upload in terms of my schedule, but it means more to me that I'm giving you something of value, as I always talk about in all of my videos and podcasts. Yeah. Interesting topics as always today. But yeah, I haven't been, I don't know, man. I've been motivated, doing a lot of work, just trying to get some money in my pocket, man. I feel like I've been saying that for a month, or not a month, a long time, like 4 or 5 months, because I've been working pretty heavily here since January. But just trying to get the things that I want, trying to get a car, so I can go back to Penn State. I can go back to college with a car. Trying to just have some spending money out there, so I'm not broke. I don't just have a car and no money in my checking account. But yeah, just trying to purchase some more equipment, looking at getting a different computer for editing. I don't love Premiere Pro on my PC. So definitely looking at getting a Mac. We'll see what they come out with in terms of these MacBook Pros here. I think they're supposed to come out in a week or so. So that's going to be an expensive purchase. Just trying to get money to enhance the setup, to get better quality videos out to you all. And yeah, my new camera. I've been using this webcam for 1080p 30 frames per second forever. I'm trying to get you all a better look at me. No, but just a better camera to shoot better shots and better videos. I have my iPhone that does like 4K. It does like 4K 60 frames. It's just hard to kind of it's hard to find the space on my phone. I only have like 64 gigabytes. So with all the stuff that I have on my phone, and trying to record in 4K, it takes a whole bunch of gigabytes just to record like 1 minute of 4K. Or megabytes. But if I'm recording 10 minutes of 4K footage or 20 minutes of 4K footage, that's literally 20 gigabytes. So Um, yeah, trying to figure that out. But uh, bringing it back, I think that I'm almost done with some of the YouTube projects that I've been promising will come out. I haven't put a date on those specifically because obviously I didn't know when I'd be able to finish them. But hopefully those can come to a close and I can get those out to you all. I think you're really going to enjoy them. We got a few. I got a few ideas just over the weekend that I kind of want to record. That should be out in the next 2 weeks. We're gonna get these videos going. I know you guys have been patient with me. So and these are, if you don't know what I'm talking about my other channel, my KX Gaming channel. So if you aren't following me over there, definitely go follow me over there if you do enjoy gaming. If that's not your thing, definitely stick with the Cam Chronicles podcast channel. And I might have another channel for you pretty soon if you enjoy the lifestyle videos. But yeah, that's kind of a life recap. I took yesterday off. That's why I didn't even get the podcast up on Monday. When I missed the Sunday release, I just took it off Memorial Day. Um, yeah, I just needed to take a break. I've been kind of, it was definitely, I had a good time this weekend, but I've been kind of going all weekend. It wasn't really a break, even though I wasn't technically working. It wasn't really a break from work. Yeah, I just needed to stop and just kind of chill. But it's funny because as soon as I chill out, man, I watch I probably have about 2 to 3 hours of good like content to watch. When I'm just chilling out, and then it's like there's nothing I'm really, really interested in. Like I'm like, man, I need to be working. I need to be doing something, man. I definitely need to work on just chilling out. But yeah, I think I think it's good that I have that drive because if I didn't, man, I don't think I would get anything done. So, but yeah, this first topic I have here is pretty interesting. But it kind of ties into a topic or point that I was making in another podcast. I can't remember which podcast because everything is kind of blurred together. Sometimes I'll be saying that I said it in another podcast when it was from a podcast that I listened to. So I don't even know. But I know I did touch on this topic. And I was talking about how do you convince people how do you convince people that you know something online? Um, or actually, yeah, no, we can go into that topic. That's not even my first topic. I misread that. But how do you convince somebody that you know something online, right? And I was like, these people are, my age or younger than me, and when I watch their content, if I was naive, I would know, I would just want to believe them, and whatever they're saying, whether they're saying invest in this stock or they're saying, this is the new app to use or whatever they're trying to pitch to me or, whatever they're trying to help me learn or whatever it is through their content. I just am kind of baffled how people like gain a following and people trust them for that content. And most people, obviously they deliver on that content and they're able to help you for whatever you looked up their content for. But some people are on the other side of things where they are very good at convincing you to listen to whatever they have to say. And getting you to buy or whatever, and engage in whatever product that they are trying to sell you. But it isn't really the best thing. And so I was listening to a podcast as always, and I think it was the Colin and Samir podcast. I've talked about this podcast before. You guys should definitely take a listen to that podcast. Those guys are a really good resource for content creators. Especially just because they're on top of all the things that are coming out in between the months, just all the different projects and things that are big right now in the creator space. So definitely go check them out. But they were talking about how, if you tell somebody with something with confidence, that if you tell them, with enough confidence, they'll eventually just believe you. And I was like, that's pretty much right. I think that I have fallen victim to that, in some sense that, you have a YouTuber, they're doing kind of commentary work and, or a commentary video or whatever. And, they have a nice setup. They got a nice camera. It looks 4K. They got the cuts to keep you engaged. And they're like, yo, this is what you do, or this is what you got to invest in. And, I'm like, you know what? I think they know what they're talking about. And it's really just because they had a professional setup. The video looked nice. The audio was good. And I believed them because of that. And also they were saying it with confidence. They weren't, they weren't like, oh yeah, you should try this product, or oh you might want to check this out. It's kind of good. Like they're like, no, this is the thing. This is the key to life. You know how all these people be on TikTok and whatever it is. So I wanted to look at the people that do that in the positive light, because a lot of people do. I would say it's like 80%, 20, maybe not. But for the people that I engage with, I would say it's like 80% of the people that say things with confidence, but they really have the studies to back it up, and they explain to you why they're telling you this information and what's the background like, or they explain to you that they've went through a scenario and that's why they can tell you this information or whatever it is. And so I was looking at somebody like Graham Stephan. I've mentioned him on the podcast before. And his, this is a YouTuber that talks about money and, how to create wealth, how to invest in the stock market, real estate, all things kind of just, revenues of streams of income. And I was like, man, how did he become who he was? And I was listening to his podcast. He actually has a podcast called Iced Coffee Hour, I think, with Graham Stephan or something like that. But Iced Coffee Hour, if you look it up, you should find it. And he was just talking about how he was really working at a retail firm, and he was, he started doing, he was very, what do you say? I'm forgetting the word. He was very good at selling houses. Basically, there was something else I was going to say, but he was very good at selling houses. He was selling houses. He was probably making, I can't remember what he said, 40 to 60 to 40 to $80,000 a year. And his commission was good. All that was good. It was great. And then he started doing this. He had already. Oh, excuse me. I thought I was going to sneeze there. He had been looking into doing YouTube, and he wanted to share his information on how to become a real estate agent because he didn't see too many videos that resembled that, right? So he jumped in and he was like, this is how you become a real estate agent and blah, blah, blah. And, he realized that it was kind of a niche market. Like people didn't really want to become a real estate agent because they had to do all this. They had to get certification, all these things. So it was very niche audience. Like it was only probably like a max of 20,000 people that were going to be watching that content at all times. So the probability that you would get all 100% of that population, which is all 20,000 people, was very slim. So then he started talking about money because he had learned money through real estate. He had learned how to do certain deals, and then he had learned how to invest your money in real estate, and also just be frugal in the real life. And so he started talking about this, but he didn't know much. He didn't know much, but he did. He was always frugal when he was young, and blah blah blah. His whole backstory. But he just started talking about it, right? And as he went, he just started doing research on how do you do this? How do you do that? Can I do a video about this? He started doing videos about credit cards, which was really what blew him up. For like, okay, I have all these credit cards. So, you should have all these credit cards to get these different, to number one, increase your credit score, but also to get the rewards, the flyer miles, the gas, rewards, all the stuff, whatever it was, 3% cash back, whatever, all the rewards or whatever. But I say all this to say, sorry for the long detour there, but he basically was saying in his podcast that he was like, yeah, I didn't really know much about this topic of money. Like I was frugal, but I didn't really know all the things that you see on my channel today. But as he put out videos and started to research, people found him credible because he would show, where he was getting this information from and why, this information was tried and true. And so that's why he began to build a significant following. I don't know where he's at. I think around 4 million, or maybe that's a little bit over on his main channel. Of a community of 4 million people on his YouTube channel, and he was able to gain that because of the people that originally found his videos and then trusted and told other people, saying, "Hey, this guy is the guy to go to if you want to learn about money, and that that goes that extends to me. I've told cousins, I've told you all about this guy, and you will all go check him out, and you're like, okay, this I you might hold me in a respect that, like, okay, maybe he knows what he's talking about, maybe I should go check this guy out. And because of the track record, he was able to really grow his community. So I think that's how most of the people that convince people that they know something about um something about anything, something about whatever topic they're talking most of. And that's how you really build a community that um is trustworthy, and trusts you, not trustworthy, that holds you as trustworthy, and trusts you to recommend them products, trust you to give them all the right information, and then trust you also to show the proof of what you're researching and what you're telling them. So, I just thought that was a interesting model, and something that I plan to do. Obviously, it's tough because the things that I'm learning, I can definitely show you some of the proof. But in terms of being, a content creator, people, aren't gonna. It's just the fact of the matter that they're not really gonna want to listen to me if I have 100,000 or if I have 100 subs. Like, if I'm talking about the struggles of being a content creator and I have 100 subs, it's like, well, you don't really know, but there are so many steps that you have to go through before even getting subscribers, or in the process of getting subscribers, that people just don't know about because they haven't started YouTube. And once they start, and the journey isn't the same for everybody, but once they start, they're like, oh man, I have to worry about this thing and that thing and this, that, and the other. And, I'm just trying to shed light on that. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting way of doing things, and just a follow up to that topic of how you make, how you really build a community, but how you make people believe in what you're talking about, and want to come back for more content. So, but my original first topic was that it's very hard to, I was actually talking to some other people about this weekend, but it's very hard for us as humans to comprehend that others have their own life and their own consequences. So it's kind of the paradox of, when you go to school, you see all of these people, right? And maybe maybe your school is 800 people large, maybe your school is 4,000 people large, whatever it is. You see all these people at school, you interact with a certain amount of them, but you see a lot more of them than you do interact with. And, you all do your thing at school, and then all of you all go home, and you don't really realize, and it's just because it's not that you don't have the brain capacity as human, or that we don't have the brain capacity as humans, but you're just not thinking about how that person has to go home and deal with their own problems. Like, you just, Bobby shows up to school every morning and goes away, and once he goes away, his life basically ends for you. Like, there's no, he just comes back in the morning, and that's just all gray area. So you're only seeing this guy's 8 hours of this guy's life, right? And the other, whatever it is, 16 hours of the day, he's out of your sight. You have no idea what happens. And I say this to say that it can be hard to we can forget this very easily when it comes to things that are portrayed online, or in the media, where we see somebody having a very happy moment, or a very great time in life. It seems like everything is going well for them, maybe financially, or family wise, or whatever it is. And But we don't really see the consequences or the problems that they're dealing with. And so it's very easy for us to um get down on ourselves about how we have problems and other people don't have problems, where that's not really the case. People are putting on a mask when they come in contact with you, and aren't talking. We aren't, when we come in contact with each other, no matter how good of friends with each other we are, the first thing we're saying to each other isn't, oh, I have this problem, this problem, this problem. It's just, hi, how you doing? You doing well? I'm doing well, I'm doing great, or I'm not doing that well, or busy, I'm doing busy, I'm dealing with a lot of things, and then you move on with your day. But yeah, we just don't see that side of people unless we're having an hour long conversation with them. And that can just it can begin to affect you mentally when you don't realize that other people are struggling as well. And it's tough because I don't like to portray it like people are will say that commenters on like YouTube or whatever are, they're living in their mom's basement. You shouldn't listen to what they're saying. And it's like, well, nah, inherently that's not really true. It's like we can put that picture in our mind to, we can use it as a coping mechanism to say that that person doesn't matter. Um, but really it's just that those people, you have to realize that those people have problems in their life as well. So, the fact that they were able to respond to you and spread hate to you is like, well, number one, how did you have the time? That doesn't mean that you don't have a good job and things aren't doing okay for you. It just means that you have to realize that that person took the time out of their day to interact with your content, whether it was positive or negative. And so what does that say about you and what does that say about them? That's up to you for you to determine. But I just don't like putting it in boxes like that because I feel it is a coping mechanism, but that just doesn't work for me because I am a very logical thinker. Like I know that the percentage odds that every person that says something negative about me is in a bad place in life just, it probably isn't the right, it just doesn't correlate numbers wise. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because I sometimes forget it too. I sometimes forget that you know I sometimes forget that other people still have struggles and things that they have to accomplish and do and are still have to meet deadlines. And for me it seems like, oh man, I got to do this by this day and I got to do this in 2 months, and it's like other people are just gliding through life, but that's just not how it is. So just a reminder for you guys. Something on my mind. But also wanted to talk about something here that I was listening to a podcast actually just when I was driving this morning for work. And it was actually on the Colin and Samir podcast as well. Definitely go check them out, man. I've plugged them twice now, man. Definitely should go check this podcast out. But hold on. Let me get some. I got my apple juice here, man. I need some refreshment. All right, man. Gotta put some WD-40 on this mic arm. But I was I was watching or listening to this podcast, and they were talking about how, or they had a guest on that was talking about how in high school and really in middle school, ever since he started to develop his personality and whatnot, he was someone that always saw things, and then when he really decided that he wanted something or he wanted to engage in an activity or whatever it was, he tried to do it to the best of his ability and become the greatest at it within a certain amount of people, obviously not becoming the greatest in the world, but being the best as far as the scope of his town or whatever that was. And so, he was talking about how he played trumpet and, all throughout high school. And he was like, yeah, I practice every night, I became first chair and, we went to nationals or states or whatever to play. And he was like, yeah, that was super great. He said he started running track in high school, wasn't very good at track. He came in with like a 7-minute mile or an 8-minute mile or something. And then, excuse me, by the end of senior year of his high school, he was running like a 4:30 or whatever kind of mile, very fast mile. I don't know, whatever, he's whatever time he said, doesn't matter. But basically his whole thing was that, whenever he delved into something, he wanted to do it to, to the maximum ability. He wanted to become the greatest at it within a certain scope. And I found it very funny because number one, those two things kind of directly correlate with me because I played trumpet in high school and middle school, and I also did ran track. I was better at than the other. But I could have been better at track. I just didn't put too much effort into it. Didn't I enjoyed it because it was a sport that only relied on me, and then it was pretty therapeutic to run. But when you're running, the 400 against guys that are running a 50, or 49 seconds in the 400, it's not as therapeutic. um, but I also played trumpet, and I did pretty well at that. Was first chair and all that. Um, but it related to me in the fact that when I delve to something, when I'm really interested in something, in the moment I am trying to be, a perfectionist at it. Hence the video that I have up on this channel called Perfectionism. But in that, I think there is a good trait, a good trait in perfectionism, even though I think it can be bad at sometimes and can affect you um, in the things that you try to do, and hinder you in terms of trying to always be the best, and then you can't actually get things done because you're always looking for a certain standard of excellence. I think that this will really help me um, in terms of YouTube. And I say that to tell others that when you do something like YouTube, if you want to make something like YouTube your full-time career, and not just a hobby or something that you do on the side, if you want to make this your full-time career, um, you are going to have to throw yourself in. I know that it seems like you can do a whole bunch of, different things. And I'm currently trying to do college um, this with YouTube, and that's hard enough. But bringing in like different businesses and people that want to do other things on the side and still think that they can succeed with YouTube, while yes, the 1% will do it. Obviously, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying that the more likely method is that you, excuse me, that you put all your time, not all, give or take. You can interpret what I mean by all your time. That can be all your free time. That could be really all your time. But you put all, the time that you can possibly give into this craft that you want to create. And that means that you're going to have to go through a lot of revision processes. I think, meaning that, your first videos or your first 20 videos might not be the type of content that you want to create for the long term, for the next year, for the next 5 years. Um, and it might not allow you to be yourself. I think that's huge with the kind of content that I create. And what I love about this podcast is I think that, while less people watch it, and less people may be inclined to watch all the way through because it is just me talking, for 30 to 40 minutes. Um, I love this podcast because I feel that I can really be me. Like, I like to talk about things. I like to talk about, deep things. And I can do that on the podcast and can get feedback in the comments. And I think that I love that aspect of this podcast, but also when I have a guest on, I'm able to converse with them about these topics and, you know, just really talk about, like I said, just reiterating deep things that I want to know others' opinions on it, because I just think, a lot, as in my last episode when I was talking about, when you're alone with your thoughts, you're just thinking constantly. So um, I really do like this medium of content. And, that's why I've been able to kind of stick with it. It's been easy to not miss an upload, even when I am traveling on these weekends, it's been easy to get a podcast out. Because I really do enjoy just sitting down and recording the podcast, and I don't really have to do it more than one time. It's just a first take, and this time it's a two take because I did delete the one from Sunday. But normally when I sit down and I record this and don't really have to cut anything from it. I just can be myself and talk about whatever I want to talk about, which is cool, relative to YouTube and what I think that you all might be interested in hearing. But also those just kind of coincide, because a lot of my thoughts are about YouTube and social media and the internet and, the future and things of that sort. So, um, Yeah, reining it back in though, I definitely think that it's important that you put a lot of time into YouTube, and that you realize that that time is not all going to be spent going towards the thing that's going to actually take off. It's going to be a lot of time spent in building and figuring out who you are on YouTube. And then also, like I was just talking about, finding that medium of content that best displays and allows you to be you, and allows you to be seen to other people um, as you would like. And I think that's, like I said, I think I've kind of found that with the podcast. But I also want to do other types of content. It doesn't mean that I will stop doing gaming content as well, because I love that content. I don't think that, that content allows all of my personality to show through, which is fine. I don't think it really, I can't speak for everybody. It just doesn't for me fully, but I still love that content. I'm still going to continue to make that content. Um, and I will be changing that content corresponding to, how I feel like I want to be portrayed in that kind of context. But also just other lifestyle videos and things like that. So, um, yeah, I definitely, agree that you should go all in. If you want to make this your career, I've been doing this for 4 to 5 years, and while I haven't executed a lot of the things that I wanted to do, or have been grinding this for 4 to 5 years by any means, you know, um, I think that those years in just getting content out, at least a couple of videos per year, some years a lot more than others, but um, has allowed me to realize who I am on the platform, and then what exactly is the brand that I want to build. And now it's cool because I'm getting to see that. You all haven't seen that exactly. You've been being opened up to it for through the podcast. But I've in the plan that I want to create with this brand, and the different YouTube channels and whatever it is. I think it's going to be pretty cool, and I think that time allowed me to figure that out. Because without that, I would have never known. There's no way I would have known this or had this vision that I have now. You know. So yeah, there's some more of this apple juice. Man, yeah, I don't know what it is, but my throat has been severely dry. I think it's just my allergies. My allergies have been kind of kicking in. The pollen has kind of come back on me, but yeah, man. Things we'll have to. I think I won't do it in this podcast, but we'll talk about. I did mention about throwing all your time, and you're like, okay, well, you're doing college and you're doing YouTube, and what are your thoughts around that? And I probably have a whole podcast dedicated to that, but I think we'll be talking about that in terms of where even my head was at, or is at, in terms of doing YouTube full time, or how much I believe in what this can bring for somebody. Um, and yeah, I think that's a very interesting topic. And let me know in the comments if you want to hear more on that topic. I'll probably be talking about it anyway, but you let me know down in the comments. I will definitely make it a point to bring that topic back sooner rather than later. But I I lastly wanted to talk about this topic. I know that this has been it's been talked about in, I think, two of my podcasts now. But it's a topic that I think went two different ways in both of the times that I talked about it, but didn't go the exact way that I wanted it to go. And so I definitely wanted to kind of share my thoughts on this topic, but it's the topic of why is money so taboo. And I know I talked about it with the podcast with Anthony. I talked about it with the podcast with Zach. And I might have talked about it in a personal podcast, but maybe I just didn't cover it the best. Um, but the point that I want to iterate with this topic is I hmm, I've said on the podcast before that when I was younger, ninth, 10th grade, I wasn't very fond of rich people. Like I just felt that they were the scum of the earth because they had so much and they just had so much excess. And it was because I didn't understand, you know, I just didn't understand money in that sense. And you would think that you would kind of understand money by 10th or ninth or 10th grade, but I didn't understand that these were still people that were going through problems and had, money didn't solve all those problems. And, I kind of held them as immortal and that they couldn't complain and that, you know, yeah, I just had a very different view on that, and obviously, age has allowed me to kind of change that perspective and become, more knowledgeable about, money as well. But the fact in that people don't like to talk about money, not for the financial literacy point, but just that they don't like to talk about money at all. Like it's not, it's like you can't ask somebody, "Oh, how much did you invest in that?" Or if you tell somebody how much you invested in that, it's looked at as you're bragging. Or, you can't talk about, how much things cost. You can't talk about like big purchases. And I'm not talking about, oh, how much did those headphones cost? $150. No, like you can't talk about big purchases as in a house or a car or things like that that are kind of looked at in the human eye as like, oh, we just don't talk about money like that. You just, oh, they're doing well off. They have that house or they have that car. And even if you all are, I understand how it can be weird if you're just strangers, but I'm talking about, even with good friends, that it's taboo to talk about money. And to me, I think money is very interesting. I like to learn how other people made their money and, what other people do with their money. And I get it if you don't want to share, that's fine. It's I think it is definitely about how you approach the conversation. Um, and not money exactly itself. But I want to know if you all feel that as well. Like, do you feel that people are bragging when they talk about money, or would you like to talk about money more? With your peers, or with adults, and just kind of learn what they did with their money. Because I don't know, I definitely would. Um, because seeing how, well, number one, just seeing being able to make money myself now, you know, is like there are people that obviously I know that are 30, 40 years older than me and have had those years to make money. And it's like, okay, well, what did you do with that money? Like, I'm curious, did you invest? Did you, how did you save for your college fund? I did talk about that kind of in Anthony's episode, but yeah, I am not, I don't have a problem being open with that kind of stuff. But um, it's interesting. And I think that it's tough because then it's like you don't want to be open with your money situations and then have somebody tell you, excuse me, then have somebody tell you how you should have used the money or how you um are misusing the money. And I think that, that can also, it depends on how you bring that up as well. If somebody has a problem, like a gambling problem, or you're trying to show them, actually educate them on a better way to do something. Like if they're trying to buy a house, like, oh, hey, look at this way to do it. And, you can actually get more bang for your buck or, whatever it is. Not that kind of thing, but what am I trying to talk about here? But just if you're like, oh, well, you just wasted 15 years of your life. You had all that money and you spent it on this and this. That's just like burning money. It's like that's not really the kind of conversations I'm trying to have. Just trying to have like productive money talk. And it seems like that's very taboo, and I guess that's okay. But it's just it's a topic that I'm interested in, and I don't know. I just want to see are if you all feel that within your family or within your friend group or whatever it is. And maybe it doesn't mean that much to anybody else. Don't know. Just wanted to put that out there. And I won't bring that topic back up unless it's requested by the audience. But I did want to just kind of note that. And I have that recorded in the podcast. But yeah, those are all the topics I had for today, kind of low key. But yeah, I felt like it was just kind of some things that I've been hearing, some podcasts I wanted to kind of add value to. And I felt that, maybe you all would benefit from hearing and maybe learn something or, have some questions or have a conversation down in the comments about them. But as you already know what time it is. It is time for the Cam Cheat Code of the week. Cam Cheat Code of the week is going to be something that probably thought about a few weeks ago, and that I've definitely learned over life, but um, have continued to learn, in my 20s. I just turned 20, but 19, 20 in the last couple of years here. And it's that the fact that the genius mindset is not prosperous and will not get you very far. And what I mean by the mindset is that thinking that you know it all, thinking that you know it all, or that you're smarter than people, um, just won't get you very far in life. And I as much as I am a person that likes to get things done on my own and research on my own, obviously I can't research without other people giving that information online or whatever, wherever I'm researching. But I like to be very independent in most of my endeavors. It's very hard for me to hear the fact, like, to hear the statement that you need others. You need others to prosper. You need others to that it's not about what you're doing, but it's about who and or how qualified you are. It's not about that. It's about who you know, and that's really just kind of the truth. I think there's some truth and some false to it. Obviously, you can still succeed without certain people in high and lofty places. It may be harder. It is kind of tough how there are people that are in high and lofty places that can kind of get you anywhere if you do know them, and you have a connect like that. But I I just want to share this example that I go on, whenever I say I'm doing a trip for like a church seminar or a church conference. I'm usually driving my uncle um, to these conferences as well, and he, every time we get in the car, he's around 80 years old, and he will tell me he has these stories from back when he was younger, and he will tell me these stories. They're actually pretty interesting stories, but he will tell me these stories every time we get in the car. So there's probably a collection about 12, maybe 14 stories. And every single time we get in the car, and then every time we get in the car, we're going for a 4 to 5 hour car ride. So he has time to tell them all. He would tell me these stories every single time. And that's to the destination and back from the destination. So, we took basically a turnaround trip here. We took a trip in up to Illinois on Friday night and then came back Sunday afternoon. And so he told me these stories going up on Friday night and the same exact stories. Like he forgot that he told me. He told me these same exact stories coming back. But I was like, man, there's got to be a silver lining to all of this. And, you know, one would say that it's like, no, he just wants to talk about these stories and, wants people to be interested in it and also wants to keep me company and not just be sleep, while I'm driving. But the underlying message to most of his stories um was that he succeeded in life. He did very well for himself because of the people that he knew. And he always ends these stories with, it's not about, what you can do or your skills or the um the abilities that you've gathered. While those are important, it is about the people that you know, and that it's very important to be kind to people, um, and to just be kind, polite, and to meet other people, um, and not for the resource of um, not for the resource of using them to gain advantage in life, but just to um, learn about other people. But that those people, because you were kind to them and because you weren't doing it for, you know, um, you weren't looking for a return in your investment of being kind or helping that person out. That they will, some of those people will come back to help you, and can get you where you want to be. Or didn't even know you needed to be, or didn't even get you opportunities that you didn't even know were available. Um, and so that is my, cam cheat code for you. That even though you may have done a lot of research for things that you think are right in your life, and you may think that you know all sides of what can happen, um, accept the side of, just life, that everything, I obviously you can't plan for everything, if something just goes dramatically off the rails. Um, but even if you think you know all sides of something in life, to always be open to just having that listening ear to somebody, because you never know what might be said, that will resonate with you a different way and may make you change your decision or just influence the decisions that you make on the big decision that you're about to make. And so, um, yeah, it's something that I've definitely learned and have probably been able to implement in some of the decisions that I've made in the past few years. And I think that's good. I think it's turned out for the better. Even though I didn't, maybe didn't want to accept that I was wrong or whatever it was. Um, it always helps me when I do. I kind of just take a step back and just reconsider, even if it's just reconsidering, and thinking about those things that that person has said, or whatever it is. Um, so yeah, that's the Kimchi quote of the week, man. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast this Tuesday. It'll go up on a Tuesday. But yeah, we'll be back at the hopefully we back on the next Sunday upload. I'll probably record this well before Sunday. Hopefully, here in the next 2 days, Wednesday or Thursday, and edit it and kind of put it up on YouTube. It just won't release till like Sunday morning or something, because Sunday is a good day. I got church in the morning, but we got a great fight in the afternoon. We got Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. I've been waiting for that for a long time. So yeah, got to get the podcast out because I can't be recording that on Sunday. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. As always, make sure to leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Recommend the channel to others if you think that they would be, interested in this type of content, or, one of the other interviews that I've done. And yeah, leave a comment down below about what you thought about the topics or anything that you wanted to converse about, and I'll definitely get back to you. But with all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.